Hey everybody, happy Friday. It's Kathy Klotz-Guest here and welcome to Yes and Brand Show. We do it Fridays at 10 a.m. most weeks. Every once in a while, because I'm traveling or something's going on, I'm not here. But today, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I got your back. I got your back, which is something you've heard me say before, which is a tenet of improv. It's one of the central tenets of my faith. And I want to talk today about narrative strategy and your story and change and what that actually means. So welcome everybody. Let me know you're here. If you've got questions, I'll take those questions in a little bit, but this is just a quick sort of, hey everybody, and a quick sort of thing about what I'm thinking of this week. So many of you know I work with a lot of companies on creativity and storytelling, applying improv to solve these big challenges. And here's something I see a lot with teams, I see it with entrepreneurs, and I see it with big brands. Doesn't matter the size of the business. I see this all the time. And that is, they're struggling with narrative strategy. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make with narrative strategy is that there's actually three things, but the biggest thing I think is the change, the concept of change. By the end of an arc, of a narrative arc, we want to know as the audience, what change happened because you overcame this challenge. We want to know, how are you better off? How are you better off? Or what happened emotionally? What was the emotional change for you? The change doesn't have to be a big one. We just want to know what that change is. And so a lot of narrative strategies from brands, entrepreneurs, origin stories, you name it, ends up shortchanging that change. I was in, over the weekend, it was my anniversary weekend, and I was watching Hamilton. I finally got around to seeing Hamilton. And the very last line of that musical is, who lives, who dies, who tells your story? Who lives, who dies, who tells your story? And that's such a powerful thing because other people will tell our story. And it's up to us to contribute to that story. So the story being told is one we want it to be. One we want it to be so we can influence that narrative. We don't have to leave it to chance. We don't have to leave it to other people. We influence the narrative being told. So who lives, who dies, who tells your story? Well, you do. You shape so much of that. So three areas that I think get shortchanged: character development. We want to know who you are, really who you are. We don't just want a name. We want a little bit of background. We want to care. And doing character development correctly and in depth gives us a reason to be pulled into the story and to care. The second thing that I think gets shortchanged all the time is conflict. We're taught to avoid conflict. Conflict is bad. No, conflict is essential because conflict is motivating fuel for your character. It's the thing that your character is compelled to overcome, to try to surmount. It's fuel. We want that. And then finally, change. What is the change that comes about because of the conflict that you faced? And this is a really super important thing that's critical to any great storytelling. And a lot of times with brands, it's sewn up with a bow. We want this perfect ending. And because somebody got the car, they got the girl, and their life was perfect. That's fictional. Real endings don't have to be perfect. Real endings do, however, have to point to some underlying change. How are you different because something in your life happened? And it may be that you didn't get everything you wanted. Sometimes the resolution isn't perfect. That's life. You don't need a perfect resolution to be real. In fact, a lot of times people don't get everything they want, or they get something different, or they get some of the things they did want, and it still didn't make them happy. The point is by the end of a great narrative arc, we want to know how you're different and how your world has changed because of that. And sometimes the biggest changes are kind of small emotional ones. Maybe you learn to accept yourself. Maybe you learn not to doubt yourself so much or to face your fears. Maybe you learn that you were just as capable as everybody else. So really quickly, want to do yourself a favor with your narrative strategy. It's really, really simple. make sure you don't shortchange character development. Number one, don't shortchange conflict. Conflict is motivating fuel, and we all need it. I know we're taught that conflict is bad. No, conflict is there. Conflict can be emotional. It can be out in the world. It can be inner conflict. That's real conflict that we all relate to. And then finally, the third C that I think is really super important, that's the focus of today, is really change. How are you better off or changed? We have a saying on the improv stage, how are you changed by that? What's the emotional reaction? And by the end of a 30-minute long form, for example, in improv, we want to see that someone or multiple people has changed. Something is different because of what happened. And that is something that's an emotional promise to yourself and to your audience. So go ahead and do yourself a favor when you're thinking about your stories and really mining great stories that you want to tell. Hey, JS, make sure that you go back and look at all these different things and ask yourself, how is my world different? How is my world better? What has changed because of the conflict that's been faced? And if you do that, I promise you're going to have stronger narratives. You're going to have better stories that pull people in and are more emotionally satisfying. It cannot be this superficial brand storytelling that we're in right now, because that's really, really, really just scratching the surface. You do that, you're going to just pull people in and have more resonant stories. And that is something that I know for certain from 2 decades doing stage work that I really didn't learn in branding and all the years I spent in marketing, corporate marketing. I didn't learn that, but it took me the stage to realize what a satisfying emotional arc really looks like. So don't skimp on that change. That's really, really important. Hey, JS, what's up? What's up? I'm just doing a quick little, I missed last week because I was sick. And so I'm just catching up on my Yes and Brand show, doing a little thing about narrative strategy. So hope you're doing great. Hope life is good for you. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll stick around for a minute. Jess, we should do a live round of 185. We should do a live hosted 185. I think maybe I'll do that next week for Yes and Brand Show. I'll just have people give me suggestions, and maybe I'll bring somebody on. I'll actually host a party live next week. In fact, let's do that. I am feeling better, thank you. Yeah, I got hit with the flu. It went around our house. It's never fun when that happens. But my husband got it, I got it, our son got it. Just kind of went through its kind of course. But I am feeling better. Yeah, next week I do want to do this. Maybe you want to join me, JS, if you're feeling up to it and you've got time. I'm going to do a live round of games. I want to show people live what it looks like to improvise and to really be in the moment and to just be in that place of fun. And so maybe I'll have a guest or two. No, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I'd love it. And just, we'll take suggestions. We'll take live suggestions. I'll crowdsource some suggestions in advance. We'll get people to join us, and then we'll just do some, live brainstorming and live gameplay and just see how that goes. There's nothing to me better than being improvisational and taking live audience suggestions. I love that. So some people like it, some people don't. I do. I love it. I tend to be more, as JS knows, I'm much more of a spontaneous person, but that's because of, 2 decades doing this stuff. But in fact, I feel like I'm better spontaneous sometimes than I am. Well, yeah, we can catch up during the week. Yeah, let's catch up next week and let's plan something. I think that would be really great. I do want to let you know about a couple of things before we go. Couple things. In the next couple of months, we're going to have some more guests. Sometimes it's just me on Yes and Brand Show because it's something that's percolating, and this topic of change is top of mind for me because of the work that I was doing this week with a couple of clients. And so I wanted to talk about this because it's something I see over and over, and I wanted to share that with you. But I also like to have guests on, and so we're gonna mix it up, and sometimes we'll have guests, sometimes we won't. I am converting this into a podcast, so stay tuned for that. We'll be relaunching this also as both a live stream and a podcast. And then I've got a new show that I'm doing now with Carrie O'Shea Gorgon from Marketing Smarts, and she is sort of she's my sister from another mister, and we do a show on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific called Business Shenanigans, and we put the she in shenanigans. And we just have some fun. We talk about business issues, and it's just a lot of fun. There's marketing strategy, but it's just a whole lot of like just being goofy and having a great old time. So I hope you'll join us for that. And then I do have at the end of the month a trial that I'm doing with a friend, and we are launching something called Making the Team, where the podcast is really about team ideas. She's an improviser. My friend Gina Tremarco and I were both longtime improvisers. She owns a theater as well as works with teams. And we want to be able to sort of highlight sort of the team aspect and the team dynamics of improv and what it can do and how it can make you better. And again, it's really not about theatricality as much as it is about applying it to business, because I know it's weird. Some people know this. I was a corporate marketer and I ran marketing for many, many years. And I'm an MBA nerd and all that good stuff. And I had P&Ls and KPIs and all that stuff I had to manage. What I found is that bringing improv into the workplace helped a lot with collaboration and team dynamics, and it actually worked for me. So I'm going to share some of that through the lens of business and what it means for teams. So it's not theatricality at all, but how do we apply improv to solve real team challenges? So we're going to be working on that. Yeah, it is cool. I'm very excited about that, JS. So we got a lot of great stuff coming up in the next month. And I hope to see many of you at some of the, my gosh, there's conferences going on in San Diego at the end of the month. I'll be there. I'll be at Social Media Marketing World speaking. So if you're there and you're down in San Diego, ping me, let me know. Reach out to me, and I'd love to meet you. If I don't see you at Social Media Marketing World, hopefully I'll see you at one of the other networking events. There's a lot of different networking events down there. So I hope to see you soon. JS, are you going to be there? Are you going to be at the networking events? Or if you're there, ping me. I know you were sort of debating that, but if you do end up going, I'd love to catch up live. So that's it. Really short and sweet today. Make it a really fantastic week, and just make sure in your strategies you're thinking about that narrative arc of change. What's changed? How are you going to motivate and inspire your audience? And the only thing that really inspires your audience is to see that something has changed by the end of your story. So don't be afraid of conflict, and don't be afraid of really getting to the heart of what's different at the end of that story, because that is what inspires your audience. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.